How to overclock DDR4 on z790 and z690, specifically with Samsung BDI. First, you want to find your max DRAM voltage and TREFI. Then we're going to set the timings and voltages to find our max frequency. Then we're going to stress test. Then we're going to lower the timings. Then we're going to stress test some more, and then we're going to save your profile. So before we go into the BIOS, how do you know you have Samsung BDI? If your XMP kit is like this, 14, 14, 14, 34, 16, 16, 16, 30, 36, if they're the same, like the second number is the same, or if it's one off, like this, 14, 15, 15, 35, 17, 18, 18, oh, actually this is 30, 38. If it's like this, if these are your XMP timings, then you have Samsung BDI. And if you have a 2x8 kit, that's single rank. And if you have a 2x16 kit, that is dual rank. So, how do you find your max TREFI and DRAM voltage? Most XMP kits start off with 1.35 volts. And so, I like doing 30 millivolt jumps all the way up to 1.6, so 1.59. I wouldn't go over 1.6 VDD. For daily gaming, it's just not really worth going higher. But if you do 1.6 or 1.59 VDD, you need a RAM fan. You can't run that without a RAM fan. And you want to be under 60 Celsius. And then you want to... And yeah, if you have a RAM fan, you can start off with like 1.5. But if you don't have a RAM fan, like start off with like 1.41 and go off of there. And then you want to set TREFI X9 to 255, and then these are the TREFI values you want to use. The higher the number, the better. It's like the only timing where the higher the number is more performance. For all setups, 2, 4, 5, 7, 5 is gonna work no matter what. So you want to start with this and 255, and then increase 65355 is like the most popular one you'll see around. And these are temperature sensitive, so to run this 65355, you need to be like under 55 Celsius. To run 131071, you need to be like under 35 Celsius. And then 262143, that's basically water cooled. So if you have water cooled RAM, you use this value. Now I'm going to go in the BIOS and show you how to do this. So now we're in the BIOS. I forgot to mention earlier, I recommend watching my previous video because we're going to be building off of that. So you want to go to OC, you want to go to DRAM, Advanced DRAM Configuration, go to TREFI. You want to start off with setting it to 24575. That's gonna work for all sticks. But I'm gonna set it to 65355 because that is my max I can run. And then you want to go to TREFI X9, so this is 255. Then you want to go to DRAM voltage. And then I recommend starting off with like if you have no RAM fan, start off with like 1.41. If you have a RAM fan, you can start off with 1.5. For me, my max is 1.53. And then I'm going to show you how to stress test this in Windows. Now that we are in Windows, what you want to do is you want to download 3D Mark 11. You want to run a GPU stress test while running a RAM stress test when finding your max VDD, because your PC is going to be hot, and that's like simulates gaming. That simulates gaming basically. And for the 3D Mark, you want to graphics S2. You want to do the max resolution, and then extreme, and then you want to loop in windowed mode. You want to run custom. You see here in MSI and ASRock timing configurator TREFI is 65355. And then in hardware info here, DRAM voltage is 1.54. It usually is not 1-to-1, so you in BIOS I set it to 1.53, but here is 1.41. I mean 1.54, which is fine. And then you also have to run TM5. And then here you just let it just run for 30 minutes at least, so that the RAM sticks bake. And then I already did that, and then here's my screenshot. 30 minutes and the RAM sticks were at 51 Celsius. Under 55 Celsius, so I can run 65535 TREFI. So now we're gonna find our max RAM frequency. So what you want to do is, remember from last video, gear 1 for DDR4, and then just start off with whatever was stable from last video. So for me it was 3600. Then you want to go to advanced timing configurator, or DRAM configurator, and I just want you to copy these settings. So just look at these settings and just copy them. For turnaround timings, if you have dual rank sticks, set all the timings that I have 1 here to auto, like this. Is because the kit I'm using is single rank, and so there's no dual rank timings. So the DD and DR are the dual rank timings, and just leave them auto if you're using a 2x16 kit. But I'm using a 2x8 kit, which is single rank, so I can just set them to 1. And make sure you copy every setting, because these are loose timings that are gonna work all the way up to like 4400. Make sure power down mode is disabled, that's important. And then for DRAM timing configuration, the only things you need to change is VDDQ training, disable, and round trip latency enable, and then turnaround timing training disable. And then for the voltages, what you want to do is set SA. I always start off with low voltages, then work my way up. SA is 1.2 and CPU VDDQ 1.2. That's what you want to use. And now we're going to go back into Windows and I'll show you the process of increasing your RAM frequency and adjusting voltages. So, how to overclock your RAM. So, what we did in the BIOS was we set SA and VDDQ to 1.2. The max I recommend using is 1.35 SA and 1.35 VDDQ. I wouldn't go over that for a daily gaming PC. And what I like to do is increase my voltage by 30 millivolts at a time. So go from 1.2 to 1.23 to 1.26, etc. And then you can fine tune to like 1.3, 1.31, 1.35, 1.34, etc. And what I do is I run TM5 25 cycles. If that passes and I increase the RAM frequency, then I keep doing that, and you mess with the voltages. So for example, if at 1.2 SA I could run 4000, and it runs 25 cycles of TM5 at 4100, it doesn't run, so I have to increase it to like, let's say 1.26, and it runs. And then you do that until you find the max frequency that you can get stable TM5 25 cycles. Then you move on to VT3, and I recommend running VT3 for at least 30 minutes, recommended an hour. And for Karhu, I recommend 50K coverage, at least recommended is 75K coverage. Now you can also use RamTest Pro if you don't have Karhu. For RamTest Pro, run at least 1 cycle, but I recommend like 3 cycles. So now I'm gonna like show you an example of me overclocking. So here I have 4133 with the timings we did in the BIOS, and SA is at 1.2, VDDQ TX is at 1.2, and it passed 26 cycles. So now, then you increase it. So this passed, then you increase it, the DRAM frequency to 40. I increased it to 4266, but it wasn't stable, so I had to adjust it to 1.26 SA and 1.26 TX, VDQ TX, with the same timings. Then I went to 4300, the same timings. I needed the same voltage, so 1.2 and then 1.2. Then I tried 4400. That wasn't stable, and I wasn't able to get it stable with adjusting voltages. So then I went back down to 4300 and ran VT3. When I ran VT3, it failed. So, but it ran like it failed in like 20 minutes. So that means it just needs a little more voltage. So then I bumped up SA to 1.27, and I bumped up VDQ TX to 1.27 also. So here is, I have Karu. It passed 77K coverage. Again, I recommend 50K coverage. I recommend 75K coverage and at least 50K coverage. And this was already with tight timings. Why you want to do coverage and not time is because depending on what configuration you're running, your CPU, if you're running single rank or dual rank, coverage can, time it takes to reach a certain amount of coverage can vary. So coverage is just more consistent. How would I put it? Just better to track. And so then now we're just gonna have to tighten the timings, and I'll show you how to do that in the next part. So now all you have left to do is tighten your timings, and my recommendation is just lowering one timing at a time and running 25 cycles of one osmosis to validate that the timing is stable. So except for primaries you need to do something a little different. First you want to change is TCL, cast latency, but you also want to change TCWL and the TWRD, SG, and DG at the same time. You want to change these at the same time and just lower it one at a time, all of them. So you want to lower this 19 to 17, 18 to 19 to 18, 18 to 17, 32 to 31, and 28 to 27. And you just keep doing that until you're not stable. And then you just keep the highest stable you have. And then once you do that, then you want to lower the rest of the primaries. So TRCD, TRP, and TRES. You want to lower it to 18, 18, 38, 17, 17, 38, etc. until you're not stable. And then you can change TWR to 12. It should work. And TRP to 6 should also just work. You don't need to touch any of these right here. TRD, TRD, L and S, TW, TR, L and S. You don't have to touch that. And then same thing with TFAW. You don't have to touch that. And then for TRDR, GS right here, you can lower that to 7. You change all this in the BIOS, and then you test it and one osmosis 25 cycles to see if it's stable. You can try to lower this to 15. TRWR, SG, and DG to 15, like here. And then you can also try to lower this TWR, WR, SG to 7 to see if that's stable. And then for the dual rank timings, the DR and DD, just lower it one at a time. Whatever the auto values are, lower it one at a time. The lowest values can be like 77, 77 will be like the lowest for the DR and DD timings. And that's basically all you have to do. Just lower each timing one at a time. Run one osmosis, TM5 one osmosis 25 cycles. Oh, and for TRFC, I forgot to mention, I lower it in multiples of 32. So if you look here, we started off with 352, and then I ended up at 288. I just lower it 32 at a time, so like this, and that's how you do it. And then the only way to lower timings more is to just increase DRAM voltage. So if you wanna lower it more, you just increase DRAM voltage. That's the only way to do it. And yeah, that's pretty much it. If you have any questions, just comment, and I'm more than happy to answer them. Thank you for watching.